Hi, this is Rock. We're going to look at the filter function, which is, don't skip this video. You need this. Filter is so useful. All right, I'm going to use some of the same data that we used with choose calls and choose rows for the counties in the US because filter works best when you show a large amount of data. So I'm going to go ahead and freeze the panes here. If I click equals filter, it's not going to be obvious what to do here. So let's say what I want to do is make a list of all the counties that have a population over the median. So let's see what the median is. The median of all of these is 25,724. Okay, so let's say we want to make a list of all those counties. So we need the county, we need the state, and we need the population. So let's say county. All right, let's do it this way. I'm going to say filter, and then the array that I want is here. And then the include, I'm going to say include if this, the population, is greater than this. And I need to put an absolute reference on that. So you'll notice if I do a count A on this, that when I count this up, it's only got 623, which should be half of the total. So if I say equals that divided by 2, 1623, which makes sense because I took above the median. So I just took the top half, right? So what we're looking at here is this filter. The array that I chose was all three of these columns, whereas what designated the filter criteria was just in this one column. So let's say I wanted to do a different kind of filter that was more of a text-based filter. So let's say I want to find all the places where there's a Franklin County in the United States. So I could say Franklin counties, and over here I could say equals filter this include if this column equals Franklin. Issues with this, and I'll go ahead and copy this so you can see how many there are. There are 25 Franklin counties, so at least half of the states in the United States have a Franklin County. The problem with this is, even though that is the column I wanted to apply the filter against, it doesn't tell me enough information because I don't have the state name along with it. So let's do Franklin states. With this filter, it's going to be a little different because in here it's using column K both times, both in the array and in the criteria argument of include. So this time I'm going to copy this and come over here and paste. But even though I need to keep the criteria with column K because that is where it's going to find Franklin, I want to bring back column L. So I'm going to change the array that I'm filtering to be column L. And there we go. It brings back all the states, and there are 25 of them that have these Franklin counties. So one thing to be very clear about, one thing that you have to make sure is that you have the same number of rows when you compare. If I had been off by one, if I had said 3,258 instead of 259, it would have given me an error. You've got to match when you do the compare. From the array to the include column, that all needs to align in terms of the rows. So that's the filter function. It's a little tricky to nest filters, but it's also a very handy thing to do if you can do it right. We'll get into that in some later videos. Next, we're going to look at unique. See you there.